Big Game Hunter. I'm a career and leadership coach. I work with people worldwide around the job search, hiring more effectively, managing and leading, resolving workplace related issues. And Friday at 9 a.m. Eastern, I do career coach office hours where I answer questions from people that I haven't had a chance to get to so quickly. And I'll just simply say, if you have a question for me, you can always email it to me at thebiggamehunter@gmail.com. In the subject line, put the phrase office hours or career coach office hours, just so I can respond to you. I can spot it quickly. It's just helpful to me so I can help you. Otherwise, that inbox gets full with a lot of crap. And I may not see your message. So again, thebiggamehunter@gmail.com, and in the subject line, put the phrase office hours or career coach office hours. I want to help you. So I've got three, four, let's see now. I think it's 7 questions. Somehow or other, my mouse is not scrolling so well today, which is kind of weird. There we go. Oh, okay, it's not really moving. So let's work with what I can see. So I can get to 4 questions right now. I know there's a 5th, and I think 2 more after that, but I may have to do a separate thing because my screen just is not behaving so well right now. So let's go with what we have. And I just simply say the program just closed on me. I'm sorry. It's like really weird. So let's just work with what I know. Okay. What's the purpose of a contract to hire software job? I suspect it's the contract to hire part of this that's the factor. So why do they hire that way or bring on people in that way? There's a couple of reasons. One is they minimize risk for themselves. That is, if you're not good, they'll get rid of you. And it doesn't affect their unemployment insurance. It doesn't affect anything. And thus, what they're able to do is see how you perform for a period of time, promise at the back end the carrot of the hire, and there's no guarantee that they do that. So that's one reason that they do it. Number 2 is it's a different budget line than what they have and for employment. And thus, the consultant rec, which is where you're joining initially, is different than the employee budget line. And thus, they can use that one to get you on board and working, test you out, and then decide whether they want to bring you on board or when the new budget year opens up, they can switch you over to the budget line that they want to use you for. So those are a couple of the basic reasons why firms use the contract to hire option. Those are the basic ones that they use. Could recruiters or hiring managers of a company figure out if you've applied previously for the same company with a different resume? Yeah, it's actually pretty easy. So not hiring managers, just to be clear about that, hiring managers tend not to have access to the database. And thus what a hiring manager can do is just review the resume and see you from there and make a decision. So for them, it's a little bit different. But for the recruiter, yes, there are breadcrumbs that you leave that signal to them that you're fake. Now, one thing that they do is they have an established applicant tracking system with resumes in it. And thus, what they can do is just see by your name and go back in there and say, hey, he applied previously and there are 3 jobs missing. Or he's a completely different person. And, recognize that. Your name, your address, your email address, your mobile number, these are all cues to them that you're the same person who's applied with a different resume. If you got rid of your mobile, if you were in a different location, if your name was different, well, that one matters least of all. If your email address was different, you might be able to fool someone and say in one resume you're a software developer, in another one you're a financial analyst. I don't know why you'd want to do that, but in theory you could do that, but you're going to be thin in some respects. So don't kid yourself. You don't put yourself in the position of trying to scam a firm. You're always going to wind up being exposed. Or 95% of the time, you'll be exposed. Question number 3. I had a Zoom interview today and noticed I kept looking at the screen and then the camera. Should I look at the camera or screen for future interviews? So this is going to be specific for Zoom. I'm not sure about WebEx or other platforms or Google Meets or Teams or what have you. But for Zoom, number one, put your video into speaker view. So this way you're in a small window on top and the person you're speaking with is in a large window in front of you. And thus what you're able to do is make eye contact if folks are in, if someone is at the right level with you. So right now I'm on camera and I'm using a different platform, but it looks like I'm looking at you, right? And that's what you want to accomplish. Don't look at yourself. You're irrelevant to the equation. Make eye contact with the person that you're speaking with. That may require that you elevate your laptop. It may require that you change your chair position, but put yourself in the position where you're making eye contact with the person that you're speaking with. Do not do side by side. Side by side, you wind up looking like you're talking to the side and not making eye contact. And that's not what you want to do. You want to connect with the person that you're speaking with. Always think about connecting with them and not basking in your own magnificence of looking at yourself and going, oh, I look so wonderful. I'm so handsome or gorgeous. Oh, that blouse looks so nice on me today. That suit, that's useless. Focus on them. They are the ones that matter. They're the ones that you're trying to persuade. And thus that connection with them is what you really need to go for. Next question. During an interview for a manager's position, I was asked, what would you do if one of your employees undermined you or flat out refused to listen to you? What is a good response to that question? I think the best response is not to tackle it directly until such time as you ask this question in response. Is that something that goes on in this group with any regularity? No, but it happens from time to time. Yeah, we got a real problem. So you want to know what you're stepping into. And to me, they're signaling something with that question, that they have an issue with their employees where they don't want to take direction. So the first thing is just to ask, is this a common occurrence with this group, department, organization, so that you know something about them? They'll probably say no, but it happens from time to time. I think once you have that, you go into some of the predictable questions, the predictable responses. It's important to find ways to work with different people, regardless of their attitude. And then from there, you continue on by talking about why this happens, how it's happened in a previous situation, how you were heard because the person may have interpreted what you said incorrectly. You chat with them. You talk with them about their behavior, how the two of you can communicate better. If this is a repeat behavior, you're in touch with HR and start to create a documentation trail in order to ensure that if this person is going to be a perpetual problem, they can be terminated. Because obviously, unless someone is physically threatening, doing something abominable, abusive to you or to others, you can't instantly terminate. even though you may want to, because we live in litigious times, and thus you want to avoid the situations where someone can get a lawyer and make your life miserable and the life of your firm miserable. So avoid those scenarios. But the idea is you want to have a frank conversation with the person, understand what they heard, ask them if they have an issue in the future. They come to you directly and ask questions. There are times that your job is to make decisions and you have access to more information. If they want to get more information from you, you're happy to share it with them as to why you made that choice. But ultimately, it is your choice, not theirs. And you expect them to follow through. Next question. Oh, this was a fun one. How can we change the boss's toxic or unjust behavior with us efficiently? Is there a way to get into his good book without doing that effortlessly? Someone who's toxic, I think this relates to the previous question in some respects, because sometimes bosses, managers, whomever, are under a certain amount of pressure that they don't know how to handle. So they're explosive towards staff. Now, this is going to be a U.S.-centric answer. I don't know if the questioner is U.S.-based or elsewhere, but the U.S.-centric answer would be to say, speak with your manager, speak with your boss, ask them what's going on, indicate that you and a couple of others, well, just stick with you. It's hard to respond when they're being abusive towards you. You want to give them exactly what they want, but it seems as though they're being difficult. Are you under pressure? What's going on for you? I want to understand and give you what you want. But toxic is one of those words that it's a charged word. Excuse me one second. Excuse me. It's a charged word which has different meanings to different people. Unjust behavior. People are being unfair. How are they being unfair? Let me focus on that one right now and simply say, I don't understand the decision you made here. Explain it to me. I know the outcome. How did you come to that decision? I want to understand. I want to support your choices. I may not always like them, but it would help me if I understood how you made that choice. In different cultures where it's shut up and do what we tell you to do, and if you don't like it, you can get the hell out. Well, start working on getting the hell out. But to me, the best way is to have a conversation with your boss and see how responsive they are to your questions. If they're not responsive, this is going to go on forever. And even if they are responsive, old habits die hard. They may slip into this behavior in the future. Then you either have to go have this conversation again, or you have to get yourself out of it. Next question. What is this new thing of recruiters asking for references before I've even had the first interview? After all, references should only be utilized if an offer is on the table. Well, I'm going to assume that this is with a contingency recruiter. Now, I say that because if you're working with an executive search firm, they're going to want references and they're going to use them for the right reason. And you're going to know that in advance. You're not going to be distrustful of them. And you're going to want to provide them with what they need because they put together a package for their clients that includes the references, their impressions of you, the resume, and a few other documents to support your candidacy. Contingency search firms, contingency recruiters, different. And just recognize if you're going for staff level positions, if you're going for manager or director roles, most VP roles, you're not really dealing with an executive search firm. You're dealing with a contingency recruiter. So once you understand that, why are they asking for it? The answer is, and having worked in recruiting firms, and I didn't do this except when I was very much a beginner and I didn't know any better. But the idea is you call up the reference, who will tend to be a hiring manager, and you introduce yourself and say, I'm a recruiter, and I'm representing so and so, and I like to check references prior to representing them to a client. After all, our clients deserve the service of, are doing a thorough assessment of the person, some other BS. And then they do a legitimate reference check where they are thorough and they're deep diving and they're hitting the questions hard and they're really evaluating you and asking that person to evaluate you. Then they flip it. And the flip is, thank you so much for making time with me today. I really appreciate it. I'm sure you can see that when we represent a client, we do a deep dive and are remarkably thorough in what we do to save you time. So we're only presenting the best people to you. And I'm wondering if there's anything I can help you with at this time as a way of tangibly saying thank you. And what they're trying to do is to get a job to work on to earn a fee. They don't see you as a viable fee source. And once you're not placeable, they're looking for some additional way that they can make some money from you. And this becomes a way that they can get a job order to work on trying to fill and thus earn the fee in that way. So the way to respond to a contingency recruiter who's asking you for references is to simply say, no, I'm not going to do that. Well, we need a reference to present you. I'm not going to do that at this time. And I'm also going to tell you that if you're not going to do it, I know other firms will accept that response and represent me to this situation. So it's your choice. I'll go to someone else, or you've told me the name of the client, and I'll just go to them directly. But I prefer if we cut the charade here and get on to the business of representing me for this opportunity and other opportunities you have. Notice you're cutting the BS off and simply saying, if you won't do it, someone else will. And if they've told you who the client is, and you've told me who the client is, and I'll just go to them directly. Oh, they won't like that. Why not? Saves them $20,000, $30,000, $50,000. I think they'd like that. Well, I'll tell them not to interview you. Okay, go ahead. But here's the fact of the matter. Someone else will represent me for this situation without having to check a reference. Choice is yours. What would you want to do? And 95 times out of 100, they'll say, let's move on. And they'll sound resentful, but you called their bluff. And now from there, you can move on. And they're probably not going to get you in because the fact of the matter is this is all a scam designed to find out who the hiring manager is or who your manager is to try and get jobs to work on. Last question for today. So at the end of an interview, when they say, we're still interviewing other applicants, we'll contact you in 2 weeks if you're chosen. If they say that, does that mean you did not get the job? I'll simply say, you didn't do well enough that they're going to cut off interviewing. You may still get the job, but what it does mean is in 2 weeks' time, we're going to have a decision. Don't call us, we'll call you. If we call you, it's because we're interested. If we don't call you, you know what the decision is. Don't bother us. It's really that simple. There are generally firms that do this have what I'll call a cattle call going on, with the result being that you wind up in a situation where you're one of many being evaluated. Thus, don't hold your breath. Don't worry. Don't wonder what's going on. They'll let you know through their behavior. And they're saying in 2 weeks' time, work on the assumption it's going to be more like 3, because this firm will keep interviewing ad infinitum. Hope you found this episode helpful. Again, Career Coach office hours is Friday, 9 a.m. Eastern. If you have a question for me, what you do is email it to me at thebiggamehunter@gmail.com. In the subject line, put the term Career Coach office hours or office hours so I know that it's someone with a question. I'd be happy to help you. And connect with me on LinkedIn at linkedin.com/IN/The Big Game Hunter. Visit my website, thebiggamehunter.us. There's a ton there that'll help you. And by the way, it's in the blog there. And you can schedule time for a free discovery call, schedule time for coaching. You can find out about different ways. Thank you, Anna. You can find out about courses that I have. I'd love to help you. Hope you have a terrific day, and most importantly, be great. Take care.